Hi, everybody, and welcome to our Thursday, March the 3rd, Honest Conversations webinar. My name is Elizabeth Novak, and I am the program coordinator with the Discoverability Network. And today we are having our lovely presenter, Kristen Bellows from the Canadian Mental Health Association, Durham Recovery College and Wellness Center, to talk about our lovely topic on job search and mental health. I'd like to remind you that this webinar is being recorded. So if you have any issues about wanting to be seen, you're welcome to turn your camera off. And we do have ASL interpretation for this presentation. So you're welcome to look at the interpreters, and you can pin them on your screen if you would like to. All right. So we'll get started with the acknowledgement. So this presentation is brought to you by the Discoverability Network, which is the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. Run by the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. We've got our social media handles right below on the screen, and you can see our logo for the Discoverability Network in the lower left-hand corner. And we also have in the right-hand corner the logo for the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. So before we get started, we're going to do a land acknowledgement. And the Ontario Chamber of Commerce acknowledges that the work we do takes place on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and that Toronto, or Takaronto as it was known or is known, is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. Our regional hubs and partners across Canada similarly gather on the traditional territory of many Indigenous nations who have cared for these lands since time immemorial. Just to give you a breakdown of what the Discoverability Network is, our website address is right up above at the top of the slide, www.discoverability.network, and perhaps we can have one of my colleagues can put the link to the Discoverability Network into the chat. So there are three main features to the Discoverability Network program. And where the Discoverability Network was created about 5 years ago, because the Ontario Chamber of Commerce has over 60,000 members and businesses affiliated with it. And they said that the greatest challenge to employment was finding qualified talent. So we created the Discoverability Network as an online job matching platform to connect businesses, inclusive businesses, to job seekers with disabilities to meet business and a labor shortage workforce needs. And we do that through providing an online job matching platform that lets job seekers with disabilities apply to jobs. We also offer free training on a variety of disability and inclusion topics, such as disability, disclosure and accommodations, job search and telling your story, professionalism in social media, informational interviews, finding a mentor. And we do these trainings for free to employers, job seekers with disabilities, as well as employment service providers. Our online job matching platform is also offered for free. And the third service that we offer for free is networking opportunities between employers and job seekers with disabilities, where you can come and learn about what companies are hiring for in their jobs, what they're looking for in their hiring candidates, and you can ask questions about the workplace. And we also offer this free networking series every Thursday from 1 until 2 p.m. called Honest Conversations, where we speak about a variety of disability and inclusion topics. And we have guest speakers come on to talk about these topics and have honest conversations. And if you want to connect to businesses who would be interested in hiring you as a job seeker with a disability, you can visit the Discoverability Network. Our website address is there. And today I'm very pleased to introduce our guest speaker. Actually, we only have one who could be with us today, and that is Kristen Bellows from the Canadian Mental Health Association, Durham Recovery College. So please join me in welcoming Kristen, who is going to give a presentation on job search and mental health. And what I am going to do now, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. If I can find, there we go. And I'm going to let Kristen go ahead and share her screen so she can start presenting.
From the beginning. All right, thank you so much for having me here today. Yeah, it will just be me, Onika, and then I also had another coworker who was going to take Onika's place, but things have come up, so you get me. So we are going to be talking about job searching and disclosure today. How about the presentation slides? What do you mean by that, Evan? Okay, I'll keep going just for the sake of time here. So job searching and disclosure when you have a mental health or addiction issue. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So it is just me. I'm your facilitator today, and my specific job title with the Recovery College Wellness Center at CMHA Durham is Adult Educator. I do also have a degree in social work and also a background in early childhood education, which actually plays in nicely with how I work with adults. I do have lived experience with mental health issues. I have borderline personality disorder, so I have been that person looking for a job while also navigating all the mental health stuff and everything that comes with it. And then just a little fun thing about me, I love reading dystopian novels. They are a nice distraction from things happening in my life and happening in the world. And yeah, so this was just a little bit about Pam, if Pam had been able to join us. She is our peer support specialist and also has lived mental health experience as well. What are dystopian novels? So dystopian is like a theme kind of set in like the near future or in some future space where like if anyone's familiar with The Handmaid's Tale, that's like a big dystopian novel I can think of where just like it's sort of possible that these weird things can be happening. Yeah, I love The Handmaid's Tale. Me too.
The Hunger Games. The Hunger Games.
I love The Hunger Games. Yes, thank you. The Hunger Games. All right. So, and also fun fact, if you ever wanted to come to the Recovery College Wellness Center, I do run a book club where we can talk about this stuff. Okay, so the agenda for today is fairly straightforward, but we're going to elaborate on each of them as we get to that slide. So we're just going to go over job searching, the good things that come from job searching, and the less than desirable things that can come from job searching. And then how we can cope with the stress that can happen because of job searching. And then we'll also touch a little bit on disclosure as well. So just, do you tell someone that you have a mental health or addiction issue? Or like, do you tell an employer this? Okay. All right, so job searching, the good and the less than desirable. Okay, just give me a second to move camera out of the way. All right, so
Could you just tell us very quickly, Kristen, what
mhm.
is Durham Recovery College and what do you do and how can you access the services?
Yep, amazing point. Thank you. So the Recovery College Wellness Center is a program within CMHA Durham. We are located in downtown Oshawa, and we've been around for about 2 years now. We held our first semester in January 2020, and then the pandemic hit and everything kind of froze. But now we're back up and running. But we take an educational approach to recovery in terms of someone's mental health or addiction concern. So we teach a number of classes ranging from like more therapeutic, so cognitive behavioral therapy skills, dialectical behavior therapy skills, and then we also have more like skill building, so communication skills, mindfulness skills, and then we also have like social and rec. So I mentioned book club, I run a book club. We're doing field trips as well. So this coming or next Tuesday, we're going to go see a movie with some of our students. So we just try to create a space that allows people to learn new things, socialize, connect with other people. And we also have peer supporters as well. So these are other individuals who have lived mental health experience who are there to support you and share how they've improved in their wellness over the years. And they also teach some of our classes, which is really cool as well. So it's not just staff teaching. We also very much encourage our peer supporters and our students to get involved in any way that they can. So yeah, that's what we do. It's literally my dream job. I was ecstatic to get this job because it pulled me out of that cycle of unemployment and underemployment that I'd found myself in for a very long time. So yeah, that's us. And if any of you were interested in joining, you could. My email is at the end of this, so I could be your first point of contact, and then I could tell you how to go about going through intake and all of that stuff. And we offer in-person and virtual classes as well.
Thank
And
you.
you, no problem. And you don't have to live just in Oshawa. We have students from Peterborough, Bowmanville, more up north. We even have a student out in BC who does our virtual classes. So it's fun. Okay, so the good of job searching. The largest benefit of a job search for me is basically the end result. You get employment. So we will go over like how job searching isn't the funnest, but the end result is so impactful. And employment can have a tremendous beneficial impact on our mental health. So jobs often allow us to put our skills and talents to good use. Um, they, and sorry, so when we're using our skills, using our talents, this is our chance to shine and be good at something, which boosts our self-confidence and then also our self-efficacy. So that's our ability to believe in our capacity to perform in a specific role. Employment can also positively impact our mental health by providing stress relief in certain areas of our life, such as improving our income. So I know when I got this job and my income fortunately made a jump, that took off a huge amount of stress that was really crushing me before then. So my question to any of you is, what do you think are some of the benefits of job searching or the result of job searching can be? Just want to see some feedback.
So people can enter their responses in the chat. They can raise their hand and speak on video if they want to.
And I just see, you do not need a referral to join the Recovery College. You can self-refer, and it's all free.
I'm going to say for me, and I'm just putting it out there because I've been in the position of I've been underemployed and I've been unemployed for,
Mhm.
I was unemployed for a period of a couple of years. just trying to find work. And when I found work, the sense of self-accomplishment, it just boosted my spirits so much. And it was so good for my mental health and well-being. I would say even more than the income generation that I got. It was just a sense of pride and purpose that I had in knowing I was going to work and making an impact.
Yep, great point. So yeah, so not even the income side, but just, yeah, the actual job and what you get to do in that job. Yeah, I can definitely relate to that.
I don't think we have any other responses.
Okay, so some other benefits that I have, there's a humility and empathy that can come with the process. Yes, yes, I agree with that. So some other positives that I came up with was that during your job search, you could do some networking. So you're just building up the people that you know, the resources that you're aware of. Some other benefits can also include health insurance. I know I was very excited to find out that I would have health insurance with my job, and I know unfortunately that is not available at every job. But Elizabeth, I do love that you brought up just, yeah, that pride in the work that you will be doing. All right. Okay. We also have in the comment box, making unemployed friends help. I think it's so neat to see what my friends are doing now that they are employed. It's nice to see people thrive after the fact. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. Yep, that's great. Okay, so then the less than desirable side of job searching. So job searching can lead to feelings of anxiety, depression, pessimism, and hopelessness. So while I was researching this topic for all of you, I came across the term job search depression. So not an official diagnosis, but just an acknowledgement that job searching is very draining for, maybe not for some, but for a lot of people, it's very draining and it definitely takes a toll. So job searching is stressful for everyone. And when we add a mental health and addiction issue on top of that, the stress can be magnified. So we may already have issues with anxiety and depression and pessimism and hopelessness, all the things that I just mentioned that can already be something we're struggling with. And then we're doing an activity that even in someone who doesn't have mental health or addiction issues, they can start experiencing these things. So I very much want to validate that some of us just have like an additional layer of emotional stuff that we have to work through when we're job searching. So this stress may lead us to avoiding the job search altogether. I know I used to try and avoid this, which adds more stress due to unemployment and the consequences of that, whatever that might be for each of you. So a few stressors you may face when job searching are fear of discrimination. So while we are protected under our various like the Ontario Human Rights Code, Canada has theirs as well, we are protected. It is illegal to not hire someone due to a disability, but these disabilities are still viewed by a number of employers as being liabilities for whatever reason they come up with. So fear of telling a potential employer our mental health status or a potential employer, finding out in another way can cause immense stress. Fear of asking for the things you may need to be successful at your job, so the accommodations due to your mental health or addiction issue can also be scary and increase stress. I know growing up, my mom lovingly came from a good place, told me that if I ever got a job to not tell them that I had depression because they might fire me. So I avoided jobs for all of high school. So I didn't get my first job until I was about 18. Because yeah, the fear was real. I didn't want anyone to think differently of me just because I had depression or whatever. So yeah, the fear is very, very real. And then job searching is an emotionally draining process. And then we also have to deal with rejection. So when we're job searching and we're writing resumes and cover letters, we're putting ourselves out there. We're explaining why we would be best for the job. And then we don't hear back or we get a no. And so it's just, it's a lot to emotionally deal with. Irina says, I also received the same advice from my parents. I think it comes from a good place. Yeah, out of fear of rejection for your child. Yes, I agree. Yep. Yeah, they don't want us to get hurt. Yeah. So another thing that can add stress is just lack of access to job search resources. So you might not know where to find jobs. You don't know what jobs you might be suited for. You might have poor access or no access to technology, internet. Because I know my dad would even tell me, like, why don't you just walk in and apply? Because places don't want you to do that anymore, Dad. They want you to submit everything online. So not having access in that way can definitely create a stressful barrier. But fortunately, you are all aware of Discoverability, who can help eliminate some of these barriers for you if they are there. So that's awesome. And then also job searching is time consuming. So the amount of time it takes to find a job, create a resume, cover letter, and apply, it can be a lot. So then maybe there's the interview process, you have phone call exchanges, all of that, the whole thing. It can take a lot of time to job search, and we may devote a lot of our free time to doing it, which can mean we are living in a constant state of stress. So it's just, you'd rather be doing something else, but you need to do all of these other things to apply for
Expeditiously is a
jobs.
word, right?
Sorry?
And oh, so I'm so sorry. I'm not on mute.
Oh, that's okay. Okay.
All right.
So does anyone want to share like what you've found stressful about the job search process?
I know for me, I found just the constant rejection is just that just always gets me, because job search can take up to 6 months to find a job or longer. And just having all those rejections and you're trying so hard, it can really kind of damage your self-worth.
Yes. Yes, there was one summer, maybe around 2011, I applied, I'm not kidding, I applied to 125 jobs and I didn't hear anything. I was like, wow, what's wrong with me? When the answer is nothing, a lot of people are looking for jobs. So we also have in the comments, all the individual development, motivation, and the messed up power dynamics for hiring process. Yes. Never getting answers back. Yeah. Competition and not catching up for sure. Then I agree with Evan, not hearing an answer back is very demoralizing. Yeah, I agree.
Irina has her hand up.
Okay, Irina, sorry.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, for me, it's the explanation of what happened in my previous role. I know I shouldn't share all the details and I don't plan to, but I have to find a way to talk about something that I know was wrong when it comes to not being able to get accommodation, even though I needed it by law. You're supposed to get it, but you don't really want to bring all that baggage to another job, or like, I guess, like highlight something that may actually be a problem in your next role. It's easy to say that, oh, accommodation is the right thing to do, everybody should support mental health, but then like when you're the employer that has to deal with it and you don't know how, have the training as a manager, it becomes your problem. And it shouldn't be a problem, but a lot of people still don't know how to provide it. So
yeah,
that's what I'm like struggling with right now.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up, Irina. Like there's so much we could talk about with disclosure and accommodation. And unfortunately, we only have like 30 minutes left. I wish we could go into a lot more. But yeah, employers don't always know what to do. And sometimes we need to like help educate them in that. But yeah, that can still be very nerve-wracking as well. I know I've asked for accommodations like at school in the past, and I was told that that's not the type of accommodation they give. So I figured it out anyways, but yeah, there's risk benefit versus telling people some things. So I know a few people have hands up. So we have pandemic was hard for job searching for sure. Words are good in internet or resources, but reality is different 100%. Okay, so who has hands up? If you have your hand up, you can speak. I can't find who it is.
Yes, Natalie, what I find what is causing me so much stress is the interview process. So much interview that I prepare that I am not a good seller. Some person are a good sellers and I am not. And it is that to take all my effort and my my stress and energy on that. And what I am looking for is to do some accommodation. My last 2 jobs, I didn't do it, and I have to do it now. So I don't know how to address it. And it is that I am looking for.
Yeah, and definitely like, even when I get to the disclosure part, like the interview process is like, if you should disclose there, if you should ask for accommodations there, we're not going to touch on that, unfortunately, just purely because there isn't enough time. But I found for myself, before I had my interview for my current job, my aunt who works in HR, she coached me through like basically did like a mock interview, just to try and get my confidence up, because I'm also absolutely horrible at selling myself. So yeah, if you do have someone who could help you just go through that sort of like mock interview process. And then, yeah, unfortunately, more of that disclosure piece, we just don't have time to talk about that, but it definitely, like when you ask for things, is definitely something that you need to consider. So thank you, Natalie. The toxic nature of general job search culture. Don't take it personally. How is spending 8 to 10 hours my day not personal? Yes. I hear you, Wesley. Yes. Okay.
I think in the interest of time, we'll go on to the next slide, if that's okay.
For sure. Yep. Yeah, I had a feeling this one would get, because people know what stressed them out. So what can we do about it? Here are some ideas that I have found. And you may already be doing some of these, and if you are, great. If these are new to you, hopefully some of these work for you. So first thing, and I know that this is always easier said than done, remember that rejection doesn't define you. So there are a number of reasons why you may not hear back about a job or be told that you didn't get a job, and none of them have to do with your value as a person. Okay, I will say that again. None of the reasons have anything to do with your value as a person. Okay, just try and get that going in a loop in your mind. You can create a coping ahead plan. And I use coping ahead plans a lot in multiple areas of my life that can be stressful. So if you find that you are sensitive to rejection, try creating a plan for how you will cope with that rejection. Planning ahead of time about how you will cope positively with a stressor improves your chances of coping successfully. An example could be, after being told you didn't get a job, you will put on some fun music, have a dance party, or go for a walk with a friend. So write this plan down and imagine yourself coping well with the rejection. When the rejection happens, follow through with your plan. So this is also a skill from dialectical behavior therapy, which I also teach at the Recovery College. So it is a evidence-based plan. If you plan how you will cope effectively and follow through on that plan when the stressor happens, you are more likely to cope in a more positive way. Learn from the experience. We can gain a lot of knowledge from negative experiences. Take this time to learn from this rejection. Rejection will happen in life and we can't avoid it. So let's do something good with it. If you're able to get feedback on why you were not selected, we can use that feedback to improve your interview performance, your qualifications, the quality of your resume, etc. And then create a realistic work plan for job searching. I wish I had done this back in the day. So this means you're not spending huge chunks of your time or like all day job searching, or even spending like weeks and weeks every single day doing a job search. This is exhausting. So like, as was mentioned in the chat box, spending 8 to 10 hours prepping for all of this just to be told no. So try and create a plan, just a few hours each day. Give yourself breaks, even like whole days of when you're not doing something that is job search related. So just as an example, maybe on Monday, you take 1 to 2 hours like completing your resumes. Tuesday, spend 1 or 2 hours searching for job postings. Wednesday, again, take 1 or 2 hours and apply to those jobs that you found. Thursday, where'd my point go? Okay, and then like for the other days, you can decide if you're going to start that over again, take a break on the weekends. So it doesn't become that all-consuming thing that you're doing. So this leads into the next point, which is remember, like, stay social, remember self-care. You have to still have a life outside of job searching. So having mental health and addiction issues can already make you more vulnerable to isolation than adding the job search stress. You may just isolate even more, either because you're busy job searching or you're just straight up avoiding. So we need to take time away from job searching to care for our physical and mental well-being. You still need to see some family and friends, do activities that we enjoy, remember to eat and sleep. All of this can ease stress and help us cope with the stress as it pops up as well. And then it's also important to focus on what you can control. So we can spend a lot of time with the why me's. It should be like this shouldn't be happening. And that very much adds a ton of stress. So we focus on the past, which we can't change, and we focus on the future, which hasn't happened yet. And we can only control the present moment. And remembering that there are usually things we can do to take control will help with stress. So some of the things you can control are which job searching resources you access. Getting support in proofreading your resume or cover letter, you have control over that as well. Sending a follow-up email to someone you've had an interview with or put an application for. And you can control your mindset. So just accepting that job searching is a process and that you don't just get a job overnight. Elizabeth, I think you mentioned like 6 months. It can take up to 6 months for someone to go through this whole process and find a job. So just that reminder that this is a process and to show yourself some compassion. The most frustrating part is the resume, so it can be aligned with the job description. The whole thing is just so frustrating. I never really liked the cover letters because I'm not great at selling myself. And then get organized. So you can ease stress by keeping track of your job postings, your different resumes, the contact information. So I used to, on my computer, have like folders that would be like general resume. So if I was applying to like retail, that would be that resume. And then I would have social work resume, and then that would be in another folder, childcare resume, and that would be in another folder. And then I had all of the jobs that I applied for, I would have in just like a Word document. So the contact information, the job description, the date I applied for the job. And then I would also list like if I had heard back from them and what any next steps were. So I did do that, and it was just a nice way to stay organized. So I wasn't constantly just like, where's this? And yeah, because as I mentioned before, I did apply to 125 jobs one time. So had to have that all nicely laid out. Okay. What are some examples of fun parts of the job? Maybe it helps to think of those. Yeah. Yep. Whatever is going to get you in a nicer mindset, if that helps. Yeah, the job search. Yeah.
What about yoga and meditation? That can really help. That's really good self-care during the job search.
Yep, for sure. I agree. And then the last one would be ask for help. So like if you need help proofreading, ask someone to help. If you need someone to just listen to whatever, if you're stressed out, you need someone to listen, reach out to someone. So family, friends, even mental health professionals. If you need support, just reach out and ask for help. Okay, all right, so just being conscious of time. Okay, so disclosure. So the most important thing to remember is that you are in control of how much you tell. And that's from Sean Bennick, Webmaster of Mental Health Matters. So sorry, I'm going to go back. Whoops, I'm going to go back for a second. So I bring up this quote because I think in my experience with some professors when I was at school, when you would like hand in the paperwork that you need certain accommodations, some of them would like demand a huge amount of information when they didn't actually need any of that information. It was kind of none of their business. It was just they had, this is so-and-so, they have a disability, they need this type of accommodation. So people will try and like get more information out of you because maybe they think it's important, but just always remember that you are in control of how much you tell. It's up to you. You know what's relevant. You know what's not relevant. So just remember that you have control over that. Minimum age for self-referral. So we are a 16 and up program for the Recovery College. Great question. Okay, so disclosure, to tell or not to tell. So I've already sort of touched on for this presentation, we're only talking about disclosure when applying for jobs, just like the application part of it. So I'm not including interviews, as we definitely would need more time to talk about that. So overall, do you need to disclose you have a mental health and or addiction issue on your resume, cover letter, or in your application? No, you do not. The question might be there, but you don't have to like check off that box or specifically say what it is if that's not something you feel ready to do, or if you don't think it's relevant at that point. If that question on that application is not optional, then you might want to take a hard look at who that employer is, because you should never have to tell someone that information about you in order for you to be able to hit send on your application if you're not ready to give them that information. So consider the company and the position that you're applying for as well. So in some jobs, having lived experience with disability, mental health, addiction, whichever, might even actually be a job requirement. So I know when I was applying for my job here at the Recovery College, I didn't explicitly say that I have a mental health issue, but on my resume, I listed my peer support, like my peer support jobs. And within this industry, you know that peer support means that person has lived experience. So I didn't hide that. I put it on there. I knew it was going to be an asset. And it is an asset working here. So you can feel that out if it is actually important for that job. And also research the company. And in terms of if you feel comfortable disclosing or not, employers on job postings, I'm sure you've seen it, they will say usually near the bottom that they do want to hire diverse staff. So all different types of diversity, whether that be like gender, sexuality, ability, race, ethnicity, all of that. So you can kind of gauge if a company will be open to you disclosing earlier on if you feel that is something that you need to do. And then also you can network. So the more you meet different people and they get to know what you can do, they can point you in the direction of jobs that will be more supportive of someone who has a mental health or an addiction issue, and knowing that and accommodating that as well. So while you were probably hoping for like a concrete yes or no answer, it's really up to you if you should disclose early on or even in the interview. And people are sometimes going to tell you different things with that. But again, further on, that's a whole other conversation that we could get into. But at least at this point, in terms of on your resume, your cover letter, or the application, it's up to you at that point if you think it's relevant to disclose or not.
Certainly you only need to disclose that you have a disability if it's going to impact the health and safety of either yourself or workers on the job. All right. So as Kristen said, it's entirely your decision. It's a personal choice as to whether you're going to disclose either during the application process, during the job interview, or once you've achieved the position.
Yes. Yeah, and even when we were, like I was discussing this part with my team, and yeah, I think it was my boss who was like, don't say anything until you've signed the contract. So yeah, some people may take that approach as well. I was more explicit during my interview for this job, but that's because I felt it was very relevant for the position that I was applying for. When I had my job interview for a retail job, I didn't bring it up at all. But that's also because my mental health stuff doesn't pop up as much as it used to. Whereas if you are someone who does need some accommodations, then maybe that would be an appropriate time to bring it up. So yeah, thank you, Elizabeth. And can you provide the website to register for the Recovery College? Yes, I believe I can. I would have to stop sharing though. Or what's our email? Here we go. So if you just go to our website, let me just make sure I spelled everything correctly. There you go. Recovery College Wellness Center will just be under like our services. Okay. So here is my email, kristenb@cmhadurham.org. So if you have questions, comments, want to know more about the Recovery College, anything like that, feel free to send me an email. And here's my sources. So, you know, I just didn't like make it up out of nowhere. All right, and that is it for me. Thank you so much, everyone. I loved all of your feedback. And yeah, reach out if you need anything else. I'll see what I can do.
Could we actually, because we do have just a little bit of time, Kristen, maybe we could delve into it, because I mean, mental health disabilities, let's face it, they are still stigmatized. I think we're in the process of moving away from the stigmatization, but do you have some advice or personal experience with disclosing mental health during an interview and kind of how that either kind of helps or hinders you in your job search. What kind of practical tips, if any, advice you can offer about that?
So I find I've either straight up like just not mentioned it because nothing's really come up about it. But like, especially when like in an interview, an employer asks like, what is something you're proud of, or what is something you struggled with and you overcame, like those types of questions. I have mentioned like my mental health. So just basically phrasing is like, oh, I've like struggled with like depression and anxiety, and I've worked very hard to learn skills about how to manage all of that and improve my communication skills. So sort of just putting that positive spin on how I've overcome that barrier has been well received by employers in the past. Like I said, I've never asked for accommodations with an employer, and even where I work right now, like my boss and my coworkers are extremely accommodating because large majority of us have mental health stuff. So I'm fortunate to work with a lot of people who are already kind of like me. But yeah, I've found it helpful if I put that positive spin on it. It just sort of lets them know that I've gained skills that are also going to help me be a good employee, because like, especially like working retail, communication is really important, and that direct customer service experience as well. So also linking what I've learned to manage my mental health to skills that I will use in that job, I've found helpful. So
you're not, and again, and Kristen, you're right on with your approach about this. You're sort of not, you're not disability focused when you're disclosing. You're here, here's the challenge or the disability that I have, and here's my abilities that I can use on the job that are a benefit. So you're not being totally disability focused. You're not seeing it as a negative. You're showing your flexibility and adaptability, which I think is a great way to look at it. We always say at the Discoverability Network, it's not the disability, it's your abilities and what you can do and what you can bring to the job.
Yes. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
All right. Do we have any other questions for Kristen, either in the chat, or you can raise your hand, you can speak out on the video feed about mental health and job search, disclosing mental health during the application process? If anybody has any other questions, you're more than welcome to share them now. I'm not actually seeing anything. So I think you've done a very good job answering the questions. I will say that this presentation, so the slide decks from today's presentation will be emailed out to everybody on Friday, so you don't have to worry about getting the resources. I will also put in Kristen's email. I will also put in for the email for you the Durham Recovery College website so that you can access it. They're an amazing resource on mental health. And for next week, we are having our honest conversation on Thursday, March 10th on neurodiversity and employment. And we're having Karen Clark, Director of Operations from A Spectrum, an organization that helps to place neurodiverse candidates. Okay, so we are going to have her come and speak on what neurodiversity is, the barriers to employment, and how amazing neurodiverse individuals are, and that we should be looking at hiring them. So I thank Kristen very much for a wonderful presentation today. And I would also like to thank our amazing ASL interpreters, Dean and Amelia from the Toronto Sign Language Interpreter Service. You've done a fantastic job as always. And we look forward to seeing you next Thursday for our honest conversation. So have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.